All right, good evening, Littleton. This is the Charter Committee for November 24th. And several things on the agenda for tonight. One is the first thing is the school committee, talk about that a little bit relating to the charter. And then we're going to have we've got quite a few updates to our documents since we last went through it all in detail, so we're going to do that. And public input if there is any, and some meeting minutes, and if we have time, we'll talk about 2026 meeting dates. So with that, we'll start with Justin McCarthy, who's here from the school committee for us.
Sure. Am I going to the podium or?
No, you don't have to.
Okay.
And if you want to.
Great.
So basically, we have this section, as you know, we have this section in the charter about the school committee. There's not a lot there because the school committee obviously is very independent, has its own set of rules from the state that they operate under rather than the town charter.
Right.
But there are some things here. We just want to go through that with you and then talk about one of the things we're trying to make consistent across things is the hiring and so on across town and the different groups. And so just talk about that a little bit as you go out, what your process is for searching for a new superintendent.
Sure thing.
So whatever you'd like to share with us is great.
Sure. So I reviewed the language that you folks supplied.
The first one or the second one? I apologize for that.
I think the second one.
Okay.
So I'm specifically looking at Article 4, School Committee.
Yep.
Starts 4-1.
Yeah,
You've got A, B, C, D.
yeah, that's the new one, I think.
Okay. A is correct. And what I did was I cross-referenced our own policies to see if there was any conflicting language.
Excellent,
Or to see if this language serves us well.
excellent.
So A reads fine. B also reads fine, which is term of office. C, all powers and duties, Commonwealth. That's fine, that's what you just spoke about, which is the school committee derives its power from the Commonwealth. 3 major objectives here: select, terminate the superintendent. I don't know if you want to amend that. It's not in our, I didn't find it in our own policy, but it's rare that you're selecting or terminating. It does happen, of course, and in this year we hope to select a new one, but
Right.
the annual process is more the evaluation of the superintendent.
Okay, no, that's a good point, yep.
But certainly, maybe select and/or terminate / evaluate the superintendent. Review and approve the budget for the public education of the district, that's correct. Establish educational goals and policies, that would also be correct. And then D, we have this D, this is all applicable, which is the election and terms. We form subcommittees at the following meeting. I'm sorry, I skipped over a section. We organize ourselves immediately after election, first meeting, into a chair, vice chair, and I see that you updated the language for clerk, so thank you very much, that's correct. And then the duties of the chair are all true as well, and in the absence of the chair, the vice chair takes over. And then you have this section here, 4-2. Is that the intent to keep that?
Yes, I think that's just new, which is why it's highlighted there, I
Okay.
think.
So the school department shall be exempt from the authority of the town manager specified in sections 6-1 of the charter. I didn't look at 6-1, but
We're just saying there that basically everybody that isn't called out separately is going to report into the town manager. So.
okay.
So then the other thing is that is different from the other wording is the town has this, what they call personnel system, which is basically the policies, right? How the salary grades and everything that happened there.
Yes.
The school department has their own. They do not operate under that. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So I don't know if that needs to be called out here or not. I guess where we talk about the policy, that policy, we say the school department is exempt, so that probably covers it that way. Okay. Okay, anybody else have any comments, questions, anything you
So
want to
this,
say? Go ahead. Yeah,
just
keep going.
reviewing our policies.
Yeah.
School committee's in charge of the superintendent, and then the superintendent's in charge of all hiring within the district.
Yeah,
There.
yes, absolutely. How it should work.
So you don't have any, school committee doesn't have any involvement with regard to principals or any other people who report to Dr. Crunch?
There'd be hiring committees associated with, or subcommittees for that purpose, but the school committee does not have the authority.
You
Don't have a go or
may
no-go.
participate.
Yes, we may be asked to participate, provide guidance, recommendations,
Yep.
give input,
Okay.
But we don't do the hiring or firing or evaluation of anyone but the superintendent.
Yep.
Section C1, about the evaluation of the superintendent. So does that include prospective superintendents? You said you just mentioned that you're looking to get a new superintendent within the year?
Correct.
So you'll be evaluating the prospective superintendents?
Just, yeah, for transparency, in case everyone isn't aware, Superintendent Colenci announced his retirement, or his intent to retire, July 1st, 2026.
Okay.
Which was planned, gave us nice notice, going out on great terms. So we will, last meeting, we formed a subcommittee for superintendent search. That subcommittee was charged with doing some research into what our options might be for providing search vendors that can assist with the process. Also reaching out, or forming some questions to reach out to the community for community input. And then likely coming back to the school committee with a recommendation for a screening committee. So the subcommittee will do all of the work and then report back the work to the school committee itself, keep us informed. If there's any votes need to take place, we'll do that. And then if you want me to just continue to jump into this, then the process would be that, let's say we use a third party, so the school committee belongs to the Massachusetts Association of School Committees. We pay dues into this organization. They'll provide a lot of services for us at no additional cost. So they can assist us with the search process. They'll likely post the position for us. If we were to choose this particular option, we would collect applications. The subcommittee, let's say it's a group of like 15 individuals. It might be something like 7 members from within the school department and then 8 members from outside the school department. So 7 could something be a couple like administrators, special ed position, teaching staff, administrators, and then for the community members, we want to make sure that certain segments of the parent population were covered and all that good stuff. They would screen the applications, likely recommend that maybe they want to see 6 people in person for an interview process, maybe whittle it down even more, maybe do some site visits where we would go away, we would go and visit that person's district if it was reasonable, and then they would put before the school committee at least 2, no more than 4, maybe the sweet spot is 3 candidates, or final candidates for final interview and selection. I think it's very similar to the town administrator hiring process.
And then I
was part of twice.
I want to make sure we get the language right here. So, because it seemed like when we said select and terminate the superintendent, you said, well, we do the evaluation. So is that the annual performance evaluations as well?
Correct. So maybe you have something in your charter as well as to employee performance or employee evaluation. Perhaps.
Yeah.
We would be the only ones evaluating the superintendent.
No, that
so
should
maybe
be
you
in
want to
there.
make
It's
sure
one
you
of the
include that
powers.
language
Powers
just so
and
it's
duties.
consistent.
Yep.
So when you're not selecting or terminating, you're evaluating. You hope to just be evaluating, but.
But ultimately, if a superintendent were to be terminated, that would be decided by the school board, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
And just for clarity, all those policies, procedures that you just mentioned, those are codified within the school board's policies?
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay.
Which are all publicly available online. If you haven't, we do a pretty nice job of that. So if you go to Littleton Public Schools website and then you click on the school committee section, all of our policies are listed there, pretty well organized and up to date. I mean, pretty well organized in the fact that you have to kind of surf around a little bit and try to find what you're looking for, but they're all there and they are organized. Hopefully it matches the organization of your brain.
Probably not, but we get it. Somebody's brain.
So maybe just a question, CPAC, Parent Advisory Council, those sorts of things. On the select board side, we have many things that are either elected or appointed for terms of anywhere from 3 to 5 years, et cetera. I have no clue what CPAC is, and those are all appointed, and are they appointed for periods of time or until such time as, I'm complete blind with regard to what those
So
are.
CPAC, that's Special Education Advisory Council, just for the record. That is an organization of Littleton Public Schools, so that's not a subcommittee of the school committee. all right? So I believe that, we'll correct this for the record if I'm wrong, but I believe that Littleton Public Schools, like any other public schools that receives public funding, by law has a CPAC organization, so if it's parent-led, annual terms, so they have an annual business meeting, they elect their officers annually, they do that every year, so the board could turn over annually. In the event that there isn't interest, it's been close a couple of times where they haven't had enough volunteers, the district would run it for the parents. That's less than ideal because you really want it to be community-based and parent involved. So.
Can I ask a question of Mel?
Yep.
Mel, is this the place where you said at a previous meeting that schools generally have significant Mass General Law arguments and articles, et cetera, such that, and that's why the school committee has such a brief section in comparison to, say, all the select board and all the different elements of the select board, that appointments, elections, et cetera?
Yes, that's correct. The general laws are very consistent across city and town about school committees and their power duties. I don't know about the Special Education Advisory Council, whether that's established in the general laws or that's, I have heard of that in other communities, but I don't know if where that is established. So that particular group, I'm not sure about.
Do they have funding? I guess where I'm making a connecting tissue is the aspect that the school committee's budget, annual budget, it's pretty small, as opposed to, again, the town just goes through elaborate department by department sort of things. Is there any funding in this group or groups that are managed by Littleton Public Schools that receive funding basically in the annual budget process?
Yes, the exact number I'm not sure. It's small dollars. So in the event that this committee wishes to run off flyers or run into sort of any administrative expense, the school department would reimburse them for those expenses.
Justin, CPAC has a representative from the school committee on it, correct?
We do.
Yeah, so.
Okay, this is pretty straightforward from my standpoint. Anybody else? Mark, do you have something else you want to say?
No.
Mel, anything else we should be asking?
No, I have been looking at Special Ed Advisory Council as we're talking. It says the department is required to establish and maintain a council under Mass General Laws, Chapter 15, 1G. So I'll have to look at it, but I believe that's under another thing that's under the general laws, which we don't really need to spell out in the council, in the charter.
Inside the school department instead of at the school committee level, we probably don't anyway.
Right.
It's really not part of the charter, right? Okay.
Yep.
Anything else? All right, that was
Easy
easy.
one.
Want to talk to us about anything else while you're here? We're kind of a fun group.
Maybe I'll stick around and see what you
Sure,
talk about next.
absolutely.
And then I'll
Welcome to
leave.
stay. All right. All right, and start going through our documents. It's going to be a lot of fun. I want to do that one next. Public input? Okay, we can check that one off, I guess, for tonight. Okay, let's just start going through the document. So we have for your standpoint, we have this charter document that we keep updating and working as we're going through it, and so we've gone through quite a bit. Now we've gone through some updates, and we recently, Rob mostly, some of mine, sent a lot of comments in, and so we've gone through and done some other updates based on the work we've done as well. And so we're gonna go through it again. Right, Mel, is that we're ready to go?
Sure, I'm ready. Do you want me to share the document? Betsy?
Yeah, why don't you?
Okay, let's go back up. All right, so what Anthony did, this is actually Anthony's work product. He identified the question that the committee, a member or committee members have identified and then provided an answer. So I don't know how you want to go through it, Betsy, if you want to go from top to bottom or
I think so.
jump around.
I think we just go from the top to bottom unless anybody else has something else they want to do. Okay, start at the beginning.
Sure. This one, I believe, talked about the fact that there are ballots, ballot votes that are required at town meeting and whether language should be inserted in the charter. And so I think Anthony points out that there are times when communities use the ballot process, and so he identified another provision here, I believe in the number 2 about ballot voting. So he's recommending that language be included in Article 2.
But it's not, okay, but where is Article 2? Because the wording is up here, so where do we see
Article
that?
2 relates to the
Yeah.
town meeting.
Yeah,
And so he suggested, let me just scroll back up, that
in there yet?
that be placed in Article 2. We're gonna,
I think, Betsy, if you look at the top of
Purple
page
section.
2 of your printout.
Yeah, I see that.
Oh, okay.
What I'm just saying, but I don't, but it hasn't been inserted in Article 2 yet, is what I'm.
yeah, no, it has not,
Okay.
Betsy, you're right.
That was
And
my question.
I'm assuming that it would go in the section 2.1, but I'm not positive. But the fact of the matter is, he acknowledges that that language can and should be inserted. He
Okay.
just is suggesting it be placed in the legislative branch.
All right.
Okay, any questions on that one going forward?
Okay, I'm okay with
All right,
that
move
one.
down, there's definitions, I believe it was noticed that
Yep.
there was a duplication there, so that duplication was eliminated. Moving down to, let's see, there was a question about whether voters, we were using some language for voters at large, and that was an error on our behalf. There are some representative or town meetings or different ways that voters can be determined, but in your case, in Littleton, there are all the voters are at large, so we're just going to use the term voters from here on out.
All right, I might say it still says voters at large several places in the document, so
As we go through.
Okay.
we'll
you can
just
go
strike
through
them.
and have them check that.
Yeah,
Okay, and another picky point, well, it's not picky like that, but it is on, it's not highlighted in your document, section 2-2. It says Article 5, use a numeral 5 instead of Roman numeral 5.
got it. Okay, sure.
Sorry, but stuff needs to be right.
No, we want to be consistent in that way. Okay, let's see. We're going to the time of the meeting. So I think my understanding is that there was a meeting with the select board or about town meeting, about the special town meeting, and there may have been discussion about the date of town meeting. So we have right now the first Tuesday in May, but didn't know if anything changed based on that.
Yeah, it should not be that.
select
It
board
should be the
activity.
other wording that was provided, which says on a weekday that includes the first Monday in May.
And didn't we, over several meetings, discuss having 2 meetings, per year? I mean, I
Yes.
remember extensive discussion, and I think that this, whatever verbiage we had has been lost.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Betsy,
we
did you
we
say that
workshopped
the
that
language that current exists is not the
Painfully.
language you recall?
We did talk about a lot, having, said there would be a spring and a fall town meeting.
Right.
And that the spring one would be on a weekday, yeah, you're right, there's a whole paragraph that was lost there, because
Yeah.
it even talked about when the fall one would be.
Correct. So my recommendation for tonight would be,
Go
let's
back
just
and
note
find it.
that, and let's find it, and then let's bring that back
Yep.
at the next meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Got it. Sorry about that. Okay.
Does having 2 meetings, whatever they're called, annual or what, does that alter the definition, under definitions of town meeting at all?
Probably, you probably, you can call your fall town meeting an annual meeting, but I think you can only have one annual meeting. You might want to, check with your moderator. But I believe we discussed that the fact that even though you can require that it's still technically a special town meeting, the one in the fall. although there's really not a lot of things you can't do at a special town meeting, but technically, I think you only can have one annual meeting.
I thought we thought
went-
differently about that, and where that comes into play is another element that you brought, Betsy, which goes to citizen petitions can be brought forward for an annual meeting, total of 10 signers, where a special town meeting requires 100. So it's not an insignificant, we need to have firm understanding as to what we previously have discussed and whether we still like what we previously discussed, because it has implications with regard to.
Let's get the wording back that we had before, then we'll have that discussion. How's that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we'll get the prior language before we have any further discussion about that. Thank you. Let me just make a couple notes here. Okay. Moving on to, here's this language about secret ballot.
No, hang on, section 2.5.
2.5.
Notice. Supposed to be 3 places, not 8.
Yeah, I think it's written here
Yeah.
correctly. This is just changed in the last town meeting.
Well, it doesn't say it up here. It still says at least 8 public places in town.
No, but in his committee question, I mean, I think,
It says at least 3, and then 8 is still in there, public places, so I don't,
no,
Yeah, it's just-
I'm in agreement. It needs to be changed to, or I'm of the opinion it needs to be changed
Yeah.
to 3. It was just one of the articles passed in
The town,
the
so,
November 4th.
so it's not yet official, but it will be by the time this document, so we
It's
might
like-
as well.
You just got, need to take out the 8.
here,
Got it. Okay.
okay? All right,
Back to this question in section 2.6 about a secret ballot. So if you were following town meeting time, which I believe we identified as the basis of the town meeting procedure, there is a secret ballot provision. And the question was, does it need to be there? I suppose it doesn't, but it does. I suppose it couldn't hurt to include it, and so I believe that Anthony identified some language for the ballot, secret ballots.
See, I'd like, well, Betsy, you got feedback from Diane Crory.
Oh, let me repeat, and I'm sorry, again, I'm pitching in for Anthony here, but he did not believe that provision about a secret ballot would necessarily be appropriate for the bylaws, or for the charter, but more for the bylaws.
Strike it.
yeah, we're just gonna get rid of it. I think, is everybody okay with that? With the clippers, it really isn't irrelevant anyway, but,
Yeah, that's
And if
all.
it's in the bylaws, even if the clippers all
Yeah,
broke
right.
one night, you would still have
Right.
the option. Yeah.
Yeah.
We can keep
I
that in
mean, if the clickers malfunctioned one night and someone moved for, a
Yeah.
ballot, a checklist vote,
Mm-hmm.
and the majority said, do it, we'd do it.
I got 2 hours to do this. Let's go for
Right.
it.
We'd do it the old way if we had to,
That's right, we
right?
had to,
Been
that's right.
down that road before.
And that was part of Diane's response too, because I was asking her about that, and even for other things, it just, if you had to, do you have the capability there? Are the boxes still around? She said, yeah, it's always still there, but there's no going back, she also said, so, but unless, like I said, you
Unless
have a
you had to,
malfunction.
right.
Right, things happen, right? Okay, so we'll get rid of that one, that's good.
Okay, thank you. Moving on, I think this was just,
Can
this
I ask,
question
I'm
was
sorry, I
just
have one
asked.
more that I put in that wasn't in your document. So in 2.8,
Which one was it,
in
Betsy?
section 2.8, at the end of the first paragraph, it says department heads or so on have to be there if they have sponsored an article. Is it really just sponsored, or if it's sponsored, or there's, I mean, somebody else could have sponsored the article, but if it impacts them, or if it affects their department, they should be there, right?
If they have business, yeah.
Yeah, so it
Workshop.
shouldn't just say if they're sponsored, it's sponsored or otherwise impacted or affected by the,
I recall us workshopping that language
Did
as
we?
well already, where we said if they have some interest in, or again, I can't remember
Right.
off the top of my head, but it was if they are involved in, or
Somehow.
something that was a little bit more than just if they've sponsored
Yeah,
an
it needs to be
article.
broader than sponsored.
Yeah, because,
Okay, we'll work out some language. I'm pretty sure that that exists in other charters, so we'll find
Sure.
that.
Okay,
Thank you, Betsy.
all right.
Moving on, this question was just asked about, how many signatures is required to
Yeah.
petition for an annual versus special, and it is true. It's in chapter 39, section 10, it's 10 for annual, 100 for special.
All right.
Moving on now, select board. What I think Anthony did here is he split up section 3.1 into 3.2 and just made it clear, changed put the 3-year terms in this, another section, I believe. But it's same language, 3-year terms. Now, I think
Okay.
3.3 is the one we've had some discussions about where the select board are not prohibited from serving on other boards and committees of the town, but they cannot serve as a chair. I believe that's the language. In no event may a select board member serve as chair. There was a question about whether that should be expanded into vice chair. And so really that's up to you guys.
I don't think so, because some of these committees are only 3 people big or something like that, or they're not very big, and so it would be really,
yeah, I asked the question more from a standpoint of, we know Matthew Nordhaus is in the Housing Authority, and in the absence of the chair, and they sometimes have challenges with regard to their quorums and the like. So should he be allowed to become a vice chair who would operate as chair in the absence of the chair? I'm not saying I know it, and I'm fine if somebody were to say he can't be the chair, but it's understood then to be allowed that in the absence, should he be the vice chair, that he can run the meeting and not run afoul of our charter. I wanted more to make
my
sure.
intention, it's a meeting, it's not running the board and not studying
Yeah.
things, so I
Like a one-off.
Not
might
the
take
Yeah,
that.
I just wanted
decision-making,
to find
yeah.
out.
Yeah,
I
no,
think if
okay,
we-
I'm
it's a
fine
good
with it
point.
if that's
Yeah,
the
I
case.
think if we limit it to all officers, we'd be starting to get into sticky situation with people, not having enough people to serve on various committees, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we're good with that then? All right, so we're gonna keep that as just chair, Mel, that's
Got
fine.
it? Okay,
That was a good
now,
discussion.
moving on, there was a question about, whether, this is in the select board's authority, under the ability to, as a licensing board, and the ability to delegate their authority to issue licenses and enforce, to issue licenses and so on. And the question, I think, was, does this delegation impair the select board's ability to enforce compliance with various licenses that may be issued and I assume violated? Let's say, for example, liquor license, there was a delegation of the kind of authority. Then the question was, if there was a violation, a serious violation, how would the select board enforce that? Frankly, I don't think a lot of select boards do delegate their licensing authority, at least for important licenses. But if you have a concern about that, we can look at that. It might be something you want to talk to your town council about, because this is sort of a legal question, and you don't want to obviously impair the select board's ability to enforce license conditions if it was issued by someone else, although to my thinking, these are done by authority of the select board. In the charter, they can delegate, and I do believe they retain the ultimate authority to deal with it. I mean, they could certainly undelegate the authority that they previously did and take action. But again, I don't feel totally comfortable responding to that legal question there.
So I was asking from a standpoint, I think in Littleton, Diane, as town clerk, does do dog licenses. There's just one for, and then when we get into liquor, I think select boards just recently discussed or taken action with regard to authorizing Jim Duggan as town administrator to deal with single-day liquor licenses.
Jim can issue a one-day liquor license on our behalf. He cannot deny. liquor.
So it's in that sort of context that I'm asking for what is the meaning of this and shall enforce? So long as the select board, pretty much as Paul said, can continue to do what they want to do and make changes that they want to make changes, I just think that the town clerk is an elected position completely independent of the select board. And does that exist somewhere that she has complete domain with regard to dog licenses or marriage licenses? I think.
Well, not if she's get delegated that authority by the select board, she
And
gets as
that's-
much authority as they give her.
But that's the part that I'm saying, I recognize I have no idea
The issues
who
the
gave her
dog
that
licenses,
authority.
but if there's a vicious dog hearing, that goes back to the board. That does, the
It's
town
happened
clerk
recently.
doesn't want any part of that.
That's right.
Well, the way I see it, it's delegating authority for an operational perspective, but that authority can also be taken back if there's any concerns with it. So at least the way it seems to be written doesn't undermine the ultimate decision-making authority, but it allows them to delegate operationally.
I think dog licenses and marriage licensing stuff the clerk does is governed by mass general law. Otherwise, she wouldn't be able to do it. There's no authority unless it's under mass general law.
I think that's the question I was asking. I was raising my hand saying, I don't know what laws exist. So long as we're compliant with those laws, I'm very comfortable with it. I just was seeking clarification.
Well, I think it's a good point, and you're right, that the general laws do give authority to others to issue certain licenses. The select board, I think, has most authority, and if it's silent, I think this is what it's gonna say. It's the select board will be the licensing board. I think maybe the way that we need to just clarify that licenses that are within their purview under the general laws or something to that effect, which would exempt anything else. They wouldn't allow, if for example, there's in the general laws that the town clerk issues a license for a dog license, I doubt the legislature would allow the select board to do that under a charter change. So I think if we just reference the general laws, I think
It's
we'll be okay.
referenced here already.
Yeah, it is referenced.
Yeah, it is.
Notwithstanding any general laws, yeah.
Okay, so we're
We can
good?
move on, yep.
All right, we can move on then.
Okay, let me just catch up on my notes. Okay.
We were
Um,
in 3, 4. Section 3, 4. It'd be nice if there were page numbers, wouldn't there?
Section 3-7.
And just to
Just about to go through.
confirm for everybody, so 3, 4H, we just asked Justin about this, the addition of the and school department in terms of the personnel system, and that's correct, that's accurate now, because they do have their own.
Okay.
Good. Yeah, and future sections of the charter that relate to things that we might want to emphasize it again in certain other areas. Here, I believe Anthony decided to move some sections were previously in this section, and he moved them out of this section into the town manager section. I can't speak for him. Do you prefer to have them back here?
No, go ahead.
So if I raised the question just from the standpoint of, we've done this detailed review several times, and I'm now getting to the point of just looking to do it solely based on changes that we've approved, not to have any other changes that we have, like the lost language with regard to town meeting as an example.
Right.
Like, I'm counting on everything that we've already discussed to be there and not be moved, so anything, I would just ask we be notified.
Right. And yeah, I mean, and asked, honestly, anything get changed at this point, we should be asked, not just done.
That's the
I mean, the
point.
school committee wording was changed, and that's great, this is better, but unless, go ahead, Mark, do you have something else you want to say?
On the school committee thing, I was just clarification, because I think benefits are actually decided by those are all under the town umbrella, right? So just make sure the wording is salaries and not
Well, it's the personnel system, so what does that mean? That's the term that's used, is personnel system.
But the wage and classification system, which they're not part of it, they have a
Right.
separate,
Well, that's not benefits.
yeah,
Okay.
but they are joint
Right.
benefits.
Yeah,
just like
personnel
light and
conflict
water, too.
compensation. Oh, no, it says benefit programs
Yeah,
here.
it says it all.
It says benefit
The
program.
point of this one, though, is that the select board will approve the system,
Right,
but the school department doesn't have to follow all of those systems. So it's not, this particular paragraph to me isn't really saying what the school department follows, it's actually specifying what the select board has to.
include but not limited to those things.
Well, then it gets down to except for
Yeah.
municipal.
What section are you reading from now?
I think it's 3-4H.
348.
Thank you.
Well, it almost seems like the except for is slightly redundant in this particular paragraph, because what it's stating is that the select board has the responsibility of developing
The
these
system.
systems.
Right. Not who
It's
it's
essentially
for.
irrelevant who's following, and
Right.
for the purpose of this paragraph, it doesn't matter who's following them, it's that the select board must develop them.
I agree.
Yeah.
So we could actually just scratch the except for, and it would still hold true, right?
Does everybody else agree with that? I'm waiting for Kevin.
Yep.
He's our personnel guy.
We're not accepting out?
Because we're saying, because the idea is that they're developing the system for town employment, but doesn't say that necessarily has to apply for everybody. Well, it does, but then
I
regulations for
read
town
this
employment.
as,
I don't know.
this is part of their responsibility.
Abilities, right.
is to
Yeah, it's part of
approve a
this-
personnel system.
Right.
Yeah, I think the actual implementation of the system that gets approved is actually in the town manager section, so maybe that exception would be better off in that other section. I can go down there if you'd like to see it.
All right, where's that? Let's go back.
Let's see.
You could convince Anthony to put page numbers on here, it'd be much easier.
I know, I know.
Tell you what buttons.
So if you look at the language in F and G, I think those are the relevant sections. Now, the first, F says town employees, and then G says municipal employees, but again, you know, we could clarify that that does not include school department. Or the municipal light department, for that matter.
Consistent wording on that,
Yeah,
too.
fix the conference.
Okay, let's do one thing at a time. So we circled that, so when we get down to this section, we'll talk about that some more. Let's go back up here. So are we saying we can get rid of it in this section then?
Well, otherwise you're getting into the, which departments
Right, and
follow
that's
which
not what it-
pieces,
right.
are you following the benefits or the hiring policy? It sort of ends up being very complex to
Yep.
specify when you're really trying to say the select board is responsible for developing the policy and developing the benefits, like full stop.
Are the,
So,
Are they-
yeah.
are-
So we can move, we can move that, those to those sections in the town manager section, I suppose.
Yeah, but I don't, yeah, but this is tough, though, because it says they're,
for town employment?
yeah, exactly.
So are the people
And
who
they're-
work at teachers employed by the town? Yes.
You know, we
Yes.
should
Paid by the
clarify
town.
that.
The checks come from the town.
Consultant.
I
Yeah,
think the
same payroll.
Right, same for, I think,
Yes.
municipal, water and light.
Yeah.
But I think you're saying there's a different personnel system at the school.
Different salary grade.
Yeah, by the way, I presume that a system includes the job evaluation system and
Correct.
results.
Yes.
The handbook, which says a lot of things about how things will be,
Yep.
and maybe other policies and procedures. That probably is the system.
And there's an entire separate all contracts as well.
Right.
My preference would be for you to leave the language as is, which says, I don't know if you're talking about a town administrator or a town manager, but that they're responsible for all town employees with the exception of
Yeah.
Littleton Light and Water and the school department.
Because even
But
if
then we're
they-
saying, so we're saying the select board approves this system, they approve the classifications, they approve the compensation schedules, et cetera, except for municipal light and water departments and the school department, but you're saying that actually the school department does follow the benefit program.
We access the benefits through the town,
But,
is my understanding. That's it.
So we're accepting them from
Well,
does it matter?
It's almost like the town is the service provider of the benefits program for the school
and the
department.
school chooses to use them, the schools could choose to go someplace else, I guess. for
If it was in our
benefits.
best interest, I
Yeah,
suppose
right.
we would.
Right, from a bargaining unit standpoint, they could make a decision that instead of taking a salary increase, we instead want heavier benefit.
Or if somehow if we could access health insurance premiums that were cheaper as a subgroup, we would.
One way or another, right.
Cheaper with
It's on
similar
that
or better
basis,
benefits.
similar to the light and water department, that I think we've also agreed, we understand that to be very separate and distinct from other town employees managed by the select board, et cetera. I'm still in favor of keeping this except for the school department for the reasons of.
And it doesn't limit, so somebody would not be able to read this and say that the municipal light and water departments and the school department are accepted from being able to access any of those services. It doesn't
Or we
limit
could say
their.
unless they so choose to participate or.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, is it
Wishy-washy stuff.
We're,
Yeah.
we're accepting the
they can opt in, or it seems like we're saying they are accepted,
Right.
we can't use it, they're out of the
Well,
system.
or you could
No.
read it another way, you could say that they're developing the program, the select board is developing the program for the town, okay, and that's how they do it. And then if these other ones choose to use it, they can, if they choose to do something else, they can.
I
Okay?
think that's what.
I think
the-
that's more that way, as opposed to, they're developing it for the schools, they're not developing it for the schools, they're developing it for the overall town.
Yeah.
And then,
I would say, just to complicate things, that the state law does give the select board the authority to determine the health insurance program for all employees, including
interesting.
the school department. There has to be negotiations, I think, over aspects of that. But in the case of health insurance, the school committee could not, for example, contract and do another, join another health
So
insurance
they
plan.
have to do,
for their
be
employees.
consistent across the town, which also makes sense actually too, but, well, I don't know. Salaries are different, but, okay, interesting.
If we have to, we have to. I agree, I don't necessarily think it makes sense. If we could do better, we would, but I guess we can't.
Should we check other charters to see if they're
See what the wording is?
excluded? Yeah, and that
Can
wording.
we,
Yeah,
Let's consider it.
I would be curious if we omit everything starting with accept, if that essentially makes it so that no other department can utilize the benefit programs. Because when I read the word accept, it's pretty cut and dry. It means you can't, right? Like, that's what accept means.
That's not what's being accepted. What we're talking about in this paragraph is whether the select board approves a personnel system
Right.
applicable to these bodies of people. I think that's what that paragraph's about. Who approves the personnel system
For town
for
employees.
town employment? The answer is select board for, not the school district. But for the school, it's not the select board, I don't think,
For some
that's
bits of it-
approving a personnel system for the school. Who's approving the personnel system? That could include participating in the town's benefit program or the town's job evaluation system, or maybe not.
Right.
And maybe the policy on harassment, or maybe not. Maybe they have their own one.
Yeah. So it's this, the school committee provides the policies for the superintendent to follow in the district, and then the school committee also negotiates with the teachers' union and all the other unions on their contract and their benefits.
And is that that's the same for municipal light and water, that they have their own personnel system, I think?
yes.
Yeah. So it's not saying that, I don't think this paragraph is saying that somebody, an affiliated entity couldn't participate in elements of that personnel system, but they have their own personnel system, and they just choosing to participate in elements of another personnel system within the town.
so you think the wording is
Benefits.
okay as it is?
I think
The
it is.
accept is
I think-
okay?
I think it is.
It is.
Yeah,
I think-
that's the way I read it too.
Okay.
It
We're-
it
All
tells you
right.
what's going on,
okay.
except for
these organizations.
Exactly, not you, except you can't do this or that,
Right.
you know.
Well, the only question I have is like the health insurance. That I don't think Light and Water or the school committee can negotiate their own health insurance or
But
have
we're not
to
saying that
follow
they
whatever
can't
the
here,
select
right.
board.
Okay.
So if that's part of the personnel system, then it kind of spans both directions, right, on what you're accepting and what you're including, so.
Well, this is
To
just
make it
saying
more
that
interesting.
the select board is responsible for coming up with a personnel system, with approving a personnel system for town employment. And then we're just saying,
It's similar to like how we access town payroll.
Right, no,
You
I'm
know,
just
we're-
saying, like, the school department can't go off and negotiate, with the teachers on, you know, we're gonna pay, what the benefits
yeah,
are,
that's
different than the town.
what Mel just said.
I think Mel
based on
just
law.
said that.
Right.
The general law covers that.
Yeah, but the charter overrides what's in general law, so
Well,
Okay.
just be sure that what you're
Wording.
accepting is the right thing you're accepting. That's all
Okay,
I'm
so,
saying.
so Mel, I think where we are is we want to keep the wording as it is, but we'd also like to see the wording maybe from another charter or two to see how they do this. We can look that up ourselves too, but if you can find something, that would be great. If there's some other wording that kind of fixes this for us, otherwise we'll just. Is that-
Okay, sure, we'll take a look at some
Yeah,
other
okay,
alternative
good.
language there.
Okay. All right,
Okay, all right, moving down, again, these are these sections, if you look at 6.6, and this is the section that Anthony decided to move, and we're gonna put that back up, and,
well, wait a minute. I'm not sure that they should necessarily, I think Rob's point was more that they were moved without telling us.
got it.
Some of them are better off where they are, because they were not things that were, wherever we are.
I
Things of the
personally
select board,
think the,
powers and duties of the select board, they were not that. They belong someplace else. The issue is more that they got moved and nobody told us.
But I will say that I think I have to say that section 6.6, removal and suspension of town manager, really should be up in the select board.
Well, maybe that one should be, but one of the other ones shouldn't be, so let's go back to.
Okay,
let's-
all right, well, I get your point, no, I'll certainly convey that.
Well, let's-
Looking at the finance
Well, wait a
committee
minute,
now.
wait a minute. I want to know where they are,
Okay.
so when we get to them, we have a chance to look at them in particular. So they went to section 5 and 6.
Yeah, 5 and 6.
You know which ones
Perhaps
were added?
6. I don't know if 4 was
5D,
in
maybe
there
that's the one
either.
that was,
Maybe 4, 5, and 6, I'll have to look at a
all right,
prior version.
okay.
No, I think, no, 6.4 is fine. It's definitely 6.6. We'll look at that. I really think that should be back up there, but I'll have to look and see what got moved.
All right. Yeah, 6.6 should be in the select board section, I agree with that. Okay,
Okay.
all right.
Now we're going to move on to some new language I don't believe you may have seen yet. This has to do with the finance committee. You have,
Wait,
so the
sorry.
finance
Hang
committee
on,
is.
Mel, wait a minute, please, sorry.
Can I
Okay,
just,
yep.
because we're going through in this level of detail, if we look at section 4.1, this is nitpicking.
Jump to 6.
It says
What
composed,
section?
Where are you?
section 4.1, school committee.
Yeah,
I'm just looking for consistency. Here we see there should be a school committee composed, everywhere else it says consisting of. And then here we are with the elected by and from voters at large, which we just previously said we're gonna strike all that. So I think the way it's presented in the other elected officials is strictly a simple statement that ends with of X members, period, and strike the rest of that sentence. No sense in them
Well,
standing out uniquely.
you want to say elected, though. Shall be elected, it has to say elected in there someplace. Oh, isn't that right? Oh, no, because the next one says, no, yeah, the first one should say they're elected, though.
And I'm again,
Someplace
I
it should
just
say,
missed
I
it, but yes,
understand,
there
I
should be
understand the consistency, I
consistency.
agree with that, yep. And not say at large, but it should say elected in the first one, someplace.
yep. Okay.
Yeah, that at large, all that language.
Yeah,
at
should
large
go,
needs to be
yep.
And then
taken in.
continuing down with section C below that, just bylaw, again, we get into that spelling and put in a hyphen for bylaw near the end of the paragraph C.
Yeah, I see it.
And then it says, or other council vote. We don't have councils.
I thought that got taken out, yeah. Okay.
Mel, in section 3-5, appointment and qualifications of town manager. Sorry for going backwards. Third line in the paragraph, who shall serve at the pleasure of the board? Should that be select board? Appointment and qualification of town manager, third line down.
Is this under select board?
It's under the select board section, he's saying, so, by definition.
Yeah,
But it wouldn't hurt.
Clear.
the phrase
Everywhere
before
else
it
you say select board, so.
tells you it's a select board, so.
Where is that?
Section 3-5, the third sentence. End of
Got
the
it.
third sentence.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
It's good.
Got it.
Okay, and then for me, on section 4-1D, this I'll admit, I don't know. So again, Justin, glad you're here, because it says, "School committee chair shall perform such other duties consistent with the office as may be provided by charter, by bylaw, or by other vote of the school committee." So my question, I get the school committee, but my question is, in a town meeting, do the voters have the ability to make a modification? Because we have some language in other sections where we get into charter, bylaw, or town vote. So I'm looking for that town vote because it's not here right now, and I don't know if it should be or if it shouldn't be.
I doubt it, because it's Mass General Law.
And I would accept, so Mel, I would accept that for now, but I'm just kind of putting a placeholder
Sure.
of, let's make certain that that's the way it is, but
Makes
given
sense,
that,
right?
yeah, it does. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Now I'm done. Thank you.
No, you're not.
Well, I'm done with that. Come on, give me, some of them have been worthwhile.
No, it's very, no, it's absolutely, this need to get done. All right, so,
Want to go back down to the finance committee again, or is there
wait a minute,
anything
only Article
before
5,
that?
we do Article 5 yet?
Well, yeah, let me ask about Article 5. So in this draft, did we not, I think as I read it earlier today, we've removed the Board of Assessors, haven't we moved that to?
Yep.
So that should be
Yep.
struck from 5-1A.
Well, right. You were still talking about cemetery commission, the board of health, also trust fund commission, I believe you also have decided to move. So that's why I think Anthony is going to change this to other elected and appointed officers, because he's concerned that you're moving them. They used to be elected and now they're appointed, and thinks that they should be included in this section, even though they say appointed.
Okay,
But
I hear you, except that A says to be filled by election.
we would have to change that. This is kind of late breaking. Yes, we'd have to change that around. Yeah. And then the question is, should the school committee also be inserted there? And I think we can do that. It doesn't hurt, even though it's a separate article.
Yeah,
Did we talk about 5-1B?
we haven't gotten there yet.
Okay.
You're just about to, though.
Yeah,
I thought, I see the title in Article 5 and appointed, so is that where we're going with regard to appointments are also going to be included in here? So it's at random, and we just have to kind of look through each one to determine whether it says appointed or elected?
but I don't, if we do that, then there's other appointed boards that aren't listed here, so why would include these and not the others, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mel, what did people do? I mean, we have
Yeah,
other appointed boards that aren't here, so just because we converted these, they shouldn't be included just because of that.
Normally, the appointed boards are not included,
Okay.
generally speaking. But I think Anthony was concerned that we were moving them from elected to appointed, and there needed to be some sort of a documentation of that. We could
Not in the
document that in
charter.
the transition section.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can
in
put
the
notes at the
transition.
end, that's fine. I would just make a notes section at the end if you want to do that, that's fine. But we need to clean this up.
Okay,
But it has to be noted that we made the change. Where would you?
But we have a whole report, we
We
have
have
a
notes.
transition section.
We've made a lot of changes that don't get, just because these are, we made a lot of them.
But where would it be put then? Because obviously,
I think in the transition, there's a specific part of our
There is,
work plan that
yeah.
it's a documented section that talks about transition, what is going to go from A to B, what's the before, what's the after, that's part of the charter.
But I
an
do like
annex,
the idea of
right?
having,
if it's there,
why
that
just have
makes
notes
sense.
at the end of this right now,
I
so.
think it's like an annex.
But to Betsy's point, we can rattle them off. Clean Lakes, Conscom, I mean, those are just two examples of.
Yeah, and I'm in agreement
with.
with you that it
Yeah,
doesn't
we're not
seem to
listing
make
them.
sense to just include the appointed ones just because we changed them. It
Correct.
would be cleaner to have, this is still other affected other elected
Right.
officers.
Right.
And then in the transition annex, it's all the ones, so someone's like, oh,
Okay.
where's the Board of Assessors?
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Right.
in the transition section.
Good.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it's,
Yep.
it's getting very complicated for no reason.
Should be noted. Yeah.
Okay,
And then on 5.1B, Betsy, that's your Article 5, where we use in Roman numeral or
well, that was,
digital.
I had that was way earlier on that I saw that, but is that the same thing here? No.
Same here in B.
5.1B?
It's like,
Because this is section 5, we're already in section 5. This should be, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. Under Article 5, so we're in Article
I
5.
have a whole question about.
All right, but yes, you're right, that should be a V. That
We're gonna be
Article 5
consistent.
should be Roman 5.
okay.
Yeah, in
Joe,
three
before-
places.
Before,
Well, yeah, where it says, talks about the sections we number them that way. It's just when it refers to Article 5.
Okay.
before we turn it over to you, Joe, if I could
Sections
just
are
get one in. Within B, I think there's a sentence that reads, if an officer elected to a town office listed under 5.1A removes from the town.
Yeah.
I think that needs to be moves.
Moves, I think so too. I found that too. You see that one, Mel? So we're in
section, please.
5.1B.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thanks.
Yeah, I've seen that language removes. I'll find out if that's sort of a legal terminology, but I'll make a note of that.
Okay, thanks.
I mean, I'll argue right now, even if that exists somewhere,
Yeah, it should
that's
be, it
just
should
not.
say moves. It doesn't make any sense, right? And then
Okay.
also in that same section, there is an Article 5 again with the Roman numeral 5, which should be Roman numeral. Did I say the wrong one? Anyway.
Yep.
All right, now,
On that same part right there, where it
yes.
says, right in the middle of the paragraph, it says, "No officer elected to a town office listed under Article 5 shall simultaneously hold any other elected town office within that section 5."
Right.
That
Just
would
can't happen,
mean,
right.
like, someone like Ivan, who's on the cemetery commission, couldn't be on Light and Water. Light and Water, you couldn't
Be on both boards.
be on both, so that,
Actually, on three
Cemetery
boards.
is gonna be appointed.
Yeah, but we still have light and water, it's just an issue, because they're
Yeah,
on
this-
both boards.
But why do they have to be?
Why do they have to be what?
Why do they have to be on both?
No, but if we have this language,
I
it
thought we already
prohibit them
agreed
from
on
being
that
on both.
previously. We
They
can
don't.
revisit
Oh,
it
right.
if you want to, but I think we previously agreed that we're gonna keep as is separate light elections,
Yes.
separate water elections.
Right.
And your point, and you wrote
But we're
about.
not requiring that the same people be on
Right,
both boards.
but this would
But
prohibit.
they
That
can't
would make-
prohibit them
yeah,
from
so
doing it,
that-
though.
prohibit it.
Three different people
Prohibit them, yeah.
yeah,
on each board.
because the way it's stated right now, that's the case.
Right.
You couldn't be a light commissioner and the water commissioner, 'cause,
And we wanna continue that, so therefore we have to do something
yes,
with
that
this.
has to be changed somehow in that.
Correct.
So you want to eliminate that prohibition?
No?
Well, unless
Hang on
we,
a second.
unless
We
we
need
were
to-
to state,
we need to discuss it.
except for light and water.
Why are we
I don't
accepting?
wanna
Why
do
would
that.
we
I-
be accepting that, yeah?
Why are we accepting
I
them,
don't think
though?
we need to accept it. I mean, to me, it's like, somebody wants to run twice, and people want to elect them twice, is there really a problem with that?
But I don't think you have to require that they both are, like, I'm thinking
Right.
Oh,
about
no,
an
they're not
example.
required, they're not, well.
No, 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 but the
Okay.
example of the guy who pulled papers to
Yeah, yeah,
run
yeah.
for light
Yeah,
was
yeah,
told,
well,
oh, and you have to run
yeah.
for water.
Yeah.
That
That's not
has
how
to-
this is stated,
That's not
though. This is-
necessary.
The way this is stated is that if you're a light commissioner, you can't be a water commissioner. Because
That's how, right.
I
That's how it
agree.
reads, yeah.
And the way, if we were to flip it, which I'm not for, I don't think we want town moderator elected and also serve as an elected select board member. Whereas I believe we do want an elected light commissioner to be a water commissioner.
But they don't have to be.
But,
But we have to deal here with what we're permitting.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And therefore, permitting would need, this is saying anybody cannot be, and I'm saying except for light and water. That would preclude then Tim from being the town clerk, the town moderator, and the select board.
I thought, yeah, no.
So I guess
But it's gonna be
But if
all or none.
we're
We
all or
can't
nothing, yeah.
Cut it so fine that you can't.
This isn't a cutting it so
everything done.
fine, so
So
It
if we
is.
permit
Either
people to
you're in
hold
multiple or you're not.
multiple elected positions, what is the downside to that?
we've discussed
The
it
Light and Water
multiple
Board can't
times
have the
at
same
length.
people on it.
No, sorry,
That's
if,
the
no,
thing.
no, what I mean is,
Right.
if you allow it, if you allow
Mm-hmm.
people to hold multiple elected positions, is there anybody here that's against that? Because if not, we just strike this sentence.
I'm not for
I'm against
Tim being a select board member elected
Why is
and
it always me?
also.
Yeah.
I'm not, I won't use your name anymore. My apologies, my apologies. I do
So you
not.
do want to have some prohibitions, some,
Well, it's
Most
like
of them are
some
prohibitions.
division of
I-
power kind of thing.
I believe.
so then we are back to having an exception for light and water.
Correct, and I think we said that
But I
many
don't think we
meetings.
need it. Like, why?
Be-
Why?
Because that's the way it operates correctly,
That-
adequately, and I
and
think we've already
and
spent.
perhaps other boards are adequately operating.
I think we've discussed this at length with Nick Lawler and some of the other, commissioners that were here. So if we're
But we
really,
agreed it had to be a separate board, not that it had to be the same people on the board.
I think we conflated those things. If we're going to consider now not, if we're going to consider striking that and saying light commissioners cannot be the same as water commissioners, then I'm for moving this to a different meeting and welcoming back Nick Lawler and the light and water commissioners in order to get into their perspectives on this, because I'm not comfortable allowing this
Why is
group,
it
or I'll
different
just
than-
vote and then make a motion, because this is, we're
But-
getting into something that we've discussed
But
at
help me
length.
understand why it's so different than any other, like you just said, not to pick on Ted, but Ted can't be the moderator and the select board.
Okay.
Why can't Joe not be the light and the water? Why does he have to have?
I'll admit that I'm struck by the, I'll say, pretty outstanding performance we have, recognizing we have some of the lowest light rates, electric rates in Massachusetts. Hope- But
But where does that fit in the charter?
it fits in the charter by way of, we could also, I think, state that the water department should move to DPW consistent with what the July 24 government review recommended, and we've made in previous discussions, deliberations here, a conscious effort to not do that.
Yeah.
So now I think Joe's identifying language that says, this is language as it's proposed in this draft is a problem because it would prevent people who are elected today from serving if this charter were to go in.
But there would be a transition period.
No,
They're
I'm
gonna
not
kick
for
them
it.
off the board.
I'm not for a transition period, and that's where I'm ready to, argue the point, other than I'm open to tabling it and bringing everybody back in.
But you
But
don't have to bring it back. I think it's a lot simpler than that. It's just, the way it's worded right now, you can't be a light commissioner and a water commissioner, because it tells you right there that you can't hold two offices in Article 5.
Right.
Is that the
elected.
only exception where it seems like there is a rationale for having one person hold two elected positions?
Well, let me take another, I'm just looking at the list of elected positions here. Is there a reason why we wouldn't want someone that wants to be on the library trustees and the park and rec
Yeah.
commission?
Yeah.
Is there a reason why they couldn't do that?
Other
Right.
than you'd have to create exceptions for every
Well,
single.
Well, that's what I'm saying, so
Or
just,
not
why do
have,
we even
or
have
not
the
have the
rule?
rule,
Why do we even have the rule?
or not.
Just drop the whole rule in.
And then let people vote if they say, if they shouldn't be on two things, they're
Yeah.
already on thing, I don't wanna vote. I don't want Tim to be
Okay.
both this and that.
So I'm gonna switch the argument to what you're saying.
Yeah,
to have a elected Park and Rec commissioner who's also an elected select board member, there's significant power and authority in those two positions with regard to development of policies and specifications
Yep.
of policies. I,
Okay, so take the select board out of
You
it.
take this.
But what
How
about
can
everybody
you?
else? Does it
Because
matter?
Didn't we
now we're-
already
Now we're
say-
making these carve-outs again.
Yeah.
No, but that's not in Article 5. The select was not in Article 5.
I know it's not. I understand what we're debating. We're debating an elected position can't have two elected positions. That's what we're
In
debating.
5,
Correct.
yeah.
But what the argument that's being made is, well, I wouldn't want this elected official to also have this elected position, but I'd be okay with these elected positions, which were making exclusions, and I would rather not have so many exclusions in the
Yeah, if there's too
document.
many
I think
exclusions,
the
it's not
crux
a
of what we're arguing here is,
sound
to
principle.
me, is why is light and water special? And that one elected official could hold a position on both boards. I think that's what we're arguing, at least from my perspective.
Well, and then following on from that, Carl, if there is going to be any exception, is it just that a elected select board member cannot be another elected member?
Because we had mentioned that before.
That's a
But
sort
didn't
of,
we
on
say
a sense,
Article above already?
that's
Or
about
just-
being a chair of a committee.
Oh, just on a committee.
if I
Yeah,
could take a stab.
you could have that option.
I think we started this whole conversation long ago where we said we're going to prohibit elected officials holding two different elected jobs. That's what we started at. We also know that Water and Light Department is special. It's the way it is now, it works well. It is the way it will be no matter what we do here. If we change it here, it'll get changed back in the Board of Selectmen, or it'll get changed when the town meeting,
Yeah.
because they're not gonna change it. It's going to be the way it is. Now, we have a choice. We eliminate the provision that says nobody can hold two jobs elected, or we put except light and water. That's the only two choices you have.
I don't understand why that
Thanks.
has to be a choice, though.
Well, you can muddy the water and two or three other exceptions, but what's the point?
But why, I'm just not convinced that the two groups have to be, we went through the discussion, two separate processes, two separate boards, fine. But why does it have to be the same people on both boards?
It doesn't, yeah.
It doesn't have to be.
They choose to be, and
It's-
nobody's ever
Right.
upset
But-
that
but
It
balance.
operates as one, I mean, they have one set of meetings.
And they get elected.
There's two meetings held at the same time that they both go to.
Yeah,
is
and-
what
but
it
they get
is.
elected, so it's not the same people all the time.
It is.
On both boards.
Right.
We came this close to making them one group, right? And then we decided for
That's
budget
right.
and other
I'm
reasons
all for-
because.
And now I'm all for leaving them separate, but I don't understand why people are convinced that it has to be the same people on both boards.
So I think we're just
Why
saying
can't
we
you
could
just
leave
pick
the
one?
option
Why do you have to be on
open.
both?
But you can, but I'm
have
I'm just talking about the wording here. This says that I can't, if I'm a light commissioner, I can't be a water
Right.
commissioner.
Because that's the premise.
She thinks it's
The
okay.
premise is,
So, could
you
I?
can't hold two
In
elected
order-
positions.
I know, a number of us have spoken, a number of us have not. Can we take a straw vote just to see where everybody is with regard to, I'd just like to know, Joe and I think are clearly stated, we want the exception. I know you are opposed, I have no idea what others.
So, let's be clear, though.
Pretty clear where I
The premise
was.
is, you can only hold one elected office at a time. Let's start there. Do people agree with that or not?
Not for electric, light, and water.
That's my point in trying to do a straw vote. I don't want to continue the discussion
Right.
because we're repeating
But-
ourselves.
right,
I'd like
but we're
to just
but
know
we're starting
how
at the
many, where
top.
the numbers are.
We put that out there because at one point we thought it was an
Yes.
important point.
Including me. I was a forceful advocate.
And I'm just trying to
And
say-
now I'm smarter than I was back then, and I don't think you can disallow people from being on both. They effectively function as one. They have shadow meetings or whatever. It's one department. There's a long, 100-year history of the way. And to disallow people on this board from being on this board, that would be, I think, a bad thing. To disallow it, I think would be given the history and culture and the manner of operation, I think disallowing people serving on both boards would be a bad thing.
And just to
And
add to
we'll
that,
never
Kevin,
get
we're not-
into the charter.
So I think I'm now counting Kevin, Joe, Ellen, and myself firmly on the side of we want to allow light and water to both be elected. It, are the other 5 all on the side of stating you don't want it?
I don't want to change the language as it's written.
So you're with Karen?
Sure.
We're with the part, we're just sticking with the premise.
I'm just trying to
That's
figure out where
good.
we're at.
We could shoot down the whole thing and say it's wide open,
But
and anyone can
I'm
hold
not trying to
whatever.
do that.
No, I agree. I think, I don't want to exclude, I don't want to force Light and Water to have 2 separate boards.
Okay, that's.
They already have 2 separate boards.
Yeah, you know what I
Same
mean.
humans.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to have
boards.
separate
As a
boards.
practical matter, guys, even if we all voted to do that,
But
it would never get to town meeting.
We're just trying to move the meeting along.
But
I want to move the meeting along too.
that's what I do too. So
Let's
in
be
order,
practical
favorite
also.
part.
in order to move the meeting along then, we need to, I think there's 5 of us, Betsy, you're now the 5th, who want to add in a except for.
Well, I don't know if that's how I want to deal with it. I'm not sure. That's another discussion.
I'm just looking
How would you like to deal with it?
I don't like the prohibition at all, quite frankly. I mean, I know that the town moderator in Drake is also a library trustee, and I don't think that harms anything.
Right.
You know, I think, if a select board member had an agenda and wanted to run for the Board of Health, I think the voters see through those kinds of things, usually.
And Adam's a perfect example, if the cemetery was still elected, he's functioning well on both boards.
So does he, why does he have to choose? Yeah,
So let's get rid of the whole thing then, make it easy.
well, that's.
Is the primary
Alone on that
concern a select board person because of the power that the select board has? Is that the real primary concern around an elected official holding 2 offices?
I can't see a select board member being the town moderator.
Okay.
So what you're driving at, I agree with. I think the wording should be something like this: select board members cannot hold another elected office, or something to that extent.
So in the select board
Otherwise, you
section.
could get a select board member also beats city or town clerk.
That's
So-
that's what
Okay
I'm
with
trying to
that.
understand, is it really wrapped around
That's
how
okay.
much power a certain position could have and then get elected to another position that could influence
Powerful.
policy or, whatever it may be. That's what I'm trying to figure out here.
So maybe, I don't know if Mel can shed light, I don't know if this is allowed, but ChatGPT says,
Or the record.
for other charters, there are some charters, about half, that hold this blanket prohibition for dual holding. However, some of them find they strike a balance where they allow dual elected officials unless the roles are legally incompatible. So there's a kind of incompatibility of office doctrine. So for example, select board and school committee, because they would be, have a conflict of interest, for instance, in terms of budget. And there's other common prohibitions that are like school committee and select board, or finance committee members cannot hold any other office. So they're, just in terms of what other charters do, it seems like they either prohibit everything, or they have some prohibitions around legal or conflict of interest.
So let's just make it the select board can only hold that office. If you're on it, if you were previously elected to something and now you get elected as select board, you have to resign your other position.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
That's
So,
reasonable.
You good with that?
so the elected
I would
town
think you'd want
moderator
to.
can be the elected school committee chair.
Yeah.
No.
Why?
Why?
You run town meeting.
Pardon?
It works well now.
It doesn't
What's a
work
great
well.
argument?
It worked for light and water.
That was being facetious.
Light and Water is a unique part set up for the 100-year reference. They have
Yes.
one consistent general manager with an assistant general manager, a whole hierarchy.
Yes,
That is
I heard
pretty
the
much, it's
presentation.
unique. Okay, so it's a unique aspect of
Yes.
Littleton governance.
That's right.
But we're also not saying that we will force that, I think, which is also like when I was going to say earlier where I said I don't, for instance, I would be comfortable saying one can run for both. I'm not comfortable saying you have to. So as long as we're not forcing
We're not saying, we're not saying that.
to me, the
I don't
dual
want to
elected,
expand that.
to me, the
But
dual
that
elected
happens.
officials only really
Yeah.
comes into play if there are major financial or legal conflicts of interest, which I honestly don't know. I don't know what I don't know,
Oh.
but to me, that limits it to the select board.
Well, let me
for the
just
most
throw this
part.
out. Nobody ran for, took papers out for the school committee. But Sean Ahern is now a member of the school committee by write-in votes. Are we comfortable putting in that sort of, shake the dice, that that's not gonna happen again?
But that's a different issue.
I don't think that's saying that then that position could be, he could be a school committee member and some other elected position, like he could run for town moderator. And then he could just get write-in votes. It's way too, this seems to be in my opinion, this is a theoretical, why can't it be? And I'm for, it's been working. And just asking for continuing what's been working, and I believe what we've had presentations made to us to say, keep it the way it is, which is where I thought we were up until tonight.
It
But
is.
keep it where it is.
It-
But
Wouldn't
we're
that
also
mean you
looking
can
forward.
have
It does.
dual
Yeah.
elected positions? Because that's where it currently stands, right?
Jim Carr was on the select board in the Light and Water.
We
at the
don't
same
have
time.
any current
Yeah,
prohibitions.
yeah, it's not, yeah.
I don't like it,
There's
but I
no
don't
think there's any
no
kind.
prohibitions in place now,
Right.
and we don't see it
Right.
happening almost ever.
Make a proposal. I'm fine.
I propose we prohibit the select board from running for another elected position, but the other ones are open.
Yeah, okay with that.
I'm fine with that.
So we would remove this prohibition from this paragraph.
But to follow up on the
No
write-ins,
select board
Yeah?
is
member.
there anywhere in the charter about like
Oh.
the write-in votes?
No?
That has nothing to do with the charter.
No,
So you
select
can't say you
board.
have to have at least 50, because you would have
Which
had to
might
get
end up
50
being in the
signatures.
select board
Mhm,
section, I
right.
guess,
Get away
yeah.
with
Because
10.
it has another
What?
prohibition.
To get-
Oh,
Your name on a
Away with
ballot?
7.
Yeah.
We'd
Oh,
have to
oh,
ask
no.
them
Got in
where
with
that
7.
Right,
sits, yeah.
well, that I think is,
Well, yeah,
Okay,
we
but
didn't
we're not-
like hearing that.
No,
so-
no, I know
What-
it's not
What,
a
Tim? What are you
charter.
saying about that?
What was that? I'm trying to think. I think I had a thought in my head
Yeah.
before that, but it's gone now, so.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a different topic. Let's finish on this one first. Do we want to add the provision then under the select board section that they are not allowed to hold more than one elected position? They cannot hold another elected position. Is that a yes?
Dump all the others.
yes.
Well, now I remember. I mean,
Okay.
the select board are the chief executive board of the town.
Right.
So treating them differently makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not talking about,
Yeah.
lower,
Right.
library trustees considered a lower level, important
Absolutely.
office, but not
Right.
chief executive.
I agree.
They can't hold any other elected position, and they can't be
Chair.
chair of any committee.
Right. All right, Mel, you following us?
Yes, but what about the light and water?
So
Well, it's
we're gonna,
irrelevant
what we're gonna
now,
do is we're gonna say the select board cannot run for more than one, cannot hold more than one elected position. And other than that, it's open. So we're gonna take that exclusion out for everybody else. It's okay
Got
to
it.
hold more than one elected position.
Got it.
So are we taking the sentence, notwithstanding any other provision of this section to the contrary, no officer elected? Are we deleting
Yeah,
that sentence from that paragraph?
Yes.
yes.
Notwithstanding any other provision of this section of the country, no officer elected to a town office listed in, under Article 5 shall
Yes.
simultaneously hold any other elected town office. We're deleting that.
So that should be done, and then we'll have to add one to section 3.
Well,
Or probably
Section
3.3.
3 has prohibitions already.
Prohibitions, so we
you
need to
can
add
just add that.
another elected position. Which is actually consistent then too with not having, being a chair of another one, it's the same venue, right?
Yeah.
Same thoughts.
May I ask Rob a
Yeah,
question?
absolutely.
Can you expound upon, you gave an example of someone getting write-in votes to be on the school board, and it would not be appropriate for them to be a town moderator. Was your concern around how just the write-in vote process, and how easy that is, or just having two elected
No,
positions?
my point there is that the town moderator has great discretion to run town meetings and hear motions from the floor, hear the articles and rule on things, such that an individual holding a policy-making office, I think, should absolutely not be permitted.
So was the write-in part just irrelevant, of just how that
It's,
person
it's
got?
just the reality of, that's how, unfortunately, in Littleton, some of our people are finding themselves into important positions, whether that's the Board of Assessor chair or, you know, a school committee member. That's just a reality that actually exists.
Oh, I agree with that.
So
I'm
I'm
just
concerned
curious
with-
why you used that specific example.
Well, just because it was a handy
Okay,
one.
that's
of-
what I was trying to.
Just a handy example.
Okay.
Yeah,
The person just appeared.
just a handy example.
All right, yeah, thank you.
Okay, so,
All right.
all right.
Again,
5.2,
you
the
know,
first sentence is that voters at large thing again we want to get rid of.
Of course.
Where do we memorialize the premise of a deputy town
Yeah,
moderator?
that's another thing that got lost. That was another paragraph that got lost, I think,
Wasn't that
someplace.
under town meeting?
Well, you had requested that it be included. Now, I thought Anthony may have included that, maybe up in the town meeting, up in Article 2 perhaps.
I don't think it's there.
Let's just take a look.
I don't think it's there. Do a search on deputy and see if it shows up.
It would have been under presiding officer. I think he missed that one, so I'll make sure that that gets covered. Yeah, we talked about that language, and we were either going to put it in section 2.2 presiding officer or back in the town moderator section. I don't know if Tim has a thought about that.
Well, you know, I don't mind memorializing it. I think we've always had the ability to elect a deputy moderator. We did it a few weeks ago, and we always have. You know, direct election at town meeting. That's how I became moderator in a way. I mean, it was being elected at town meeting. But if it's in the charter, that's fine by me.
Yeah, I think we'll probably put it in Article 2.
Yeah.
Is it-
And then also in section 5.2, because it would be a deputy town moderator would also be an elected position, right?
No, be appointed.
It would be, oh, right,
Appointed by
right.
the
So
town,
we don't have to fiddle fix with
Right,
5.2, okay.
appointed by the town moderator, correct?
Well, I guess that's my question. If we do put that in the charter, Mel, then we wouldn't have to elect a deputy moderator at town meeting because presumably the charter calls for a deputy that the moderator has already appointed in advance?
Well, no, I guess I don't know, what do you want? What do you all, I thought we were going to include it as the town meeting could elect a alternate moderator, but,
But they can and
Right.
have. I mean, I wasn't clamoring for it, but it seems like everyone else was, and I don't have a problem with it. But if it
Yeah.
doesn't change anything, if we'd have to have somebody nominated at town meeting and elected, then we're right back where we
You
started.
do it anyway, it's just putting it
Yeah.
in here that there will be one.
Yeah, so, I'm good either way. It comes up once in a while, but not a.
But we'll keep it elected then rather than appointed.
Yeah,
The
Is
deputy
that-
town moderator elected?
At town meeting.
Which
Yeah,
is
that's
not
already
what we
happened, right?
decided last time, though. Like, going back to our
I
minutes.
know,
when we-
no, go ahead, so what did we decide? We said we.
Last time, I'm trying to look at my
nominated?
notes, we decided that we wanted to formalize the position of
Yeah.
deputy
Right.
town moderator, and that would be something that wasn't elected like on the evening, but was
Okay.
actually already in
Okay.
place. And I
But
can
it
go back
sounds
to the
like-
language. I mean, of course, that was just as we felt like it in that
I don't know
moment.
if we can do it. I don't know if we, from hearing Mel, I don't know if we, I could name Joe as my deputy town moderator, but if we have to go to town meeting and someone has to nominate Joe and he has to get elected, then that's
Well, I don't
no
know,
change.
That's a change, we change it from being an elected position to being an appointed position,
Yeah,
appointed by you.
Right.
You just
Yeah.
walk in and it's all
Right.
done.
I
Yeah,
think
we did
that's a
decide to
cleaner way of doing it.
Right.
formalize the deputy
Comfortable with that?
moderator.
I'm perfectly, comfortable with it, yeah.
We just make it that, just make it, it's appointed by the town moderator.
Yeah, it can also be that that person is not available. Sometimes I went through 2 or 3 people to get to this last one, so it might be somebody other than the person
Okay.
you, but I guess you could just elect them at town meeting.
But it seems like the process already exists to take care of this problem, though, so I don't.
Oh, yeah, no, it's just a different way to come at it, yeah.
Yeah, last time in our notes, we'd said that we wanted to formalize the deputy moderator just to allow for kind of consistency and predictability. It was
Yeah,
more just
it's like-
sort of operational ease.
Seems like everybody wants to get me out of that chair, I don't know.
To help you.
No, it's more that we would all recognize that we would be in a bad state of affairs if something,
Yeah, yeah,
you happen to, I don't know, get stuck in traffic at night.
yeah.
That would,
That makes
So
sense.
Kevin,
we'll
you want to
figure it
speak
out.
up? Because this was kind of your thing. This was one of your things that you were pretty much in.
I've always
Advocate
said,
for.
why not? Why not have a designated deputy town moderator in the event there's a flat tire on the way to the meeting? Why not? What would be the reason for not doing it? I can think of lots of
You'd
reasons.
still have to have the provision, if they weren't there, that you can still elect somebody
can
else.
still
You still
elect
have to have
someone.
that provision.
Yeah, and to Kevin's point, I mean, you know, when I first got into it years ago, I mean, Charlie Kay had been moderator for 35 years. He was in his 80s, and nobody thought he would ever die, right? But he did. And everyone looked around like, who can do this? I mean, you know,
Yeah,
because,
yeah.
Well, that's a sort of a secondary, this is an opportunity to get somebody in the role and get whether for
Yeah,
our
right.
town or a different
Somebody that
town,
knows, yeah,
they get
what
ready to
the
be
process
a
is.
succession
Right.
planning, yeah.
full-blown town
you
manager.
make a good point, that,
Yeah,
you know,
makes sense.
nobody is teed up, ready to, go into it. You gotta, there's a lot of coaching involved when they're one-off things, but
Yes.
if somebody was the permanent deputy, you could,
I,
Alan?
I don't think we're being broadcast.
Well, we are.
Is it
I
that?
know, I don't know.
Oh,
Maybe
no,
it's
Is that
someone
our
else
monitor?
That's the town administrator.
They're
There's a select board meeting going on right now.
now.
So that's showing the select board meeting that's on Zoom tonight.
So we're not live, but they'll have.
We got
it'll be on there.
preempted by the
got-
select board.
I just looked up, I said, I don't recognize
Yeah,
that.
that's- we have a new member. That's the deputy moderator.
that's it, wow.
There he is.
Something, huh? Okay, so we're gonna have a deputy moderator who is nominated,
Pointed.
appointed by the moderator, but we still have to have the provision for an elected, in case they're not there, or you need another one, or
Which,
whatever
yeah,
reason.
which exists, if that
Okay, that's
person's
still-
not available and.
Can we say at least one deputy monitor?
Well, we'll have a deputy, well, yeah.
You can only have one
Yeah.
moderator of the
But
meeting.
if you have the deputy appointed, it doesn't take away from
Right.
the fact that on the night you can call for an
Sure,
election.
if someone else,
Yep.
yeah.
Still allowed.
Yep.
Okay, all right, following us on that, Mel?
Yes,
Okay.
okay. Again, assessors. if
Where
we're
are we?
moving to-
No, let's go back to where are we on this?
We're at, so we're under the elected sections, and we just finished this whole provision, this whole issue about the prohibition. Now we are moving to other elected boards. We just talked about the town moderator.
Okay,
The ones in yellow bold are Board of Assessors who would be moved to appointed, and I think what I heard is we're going to eliminate.
okay, wait, a minute. Are you going in the same order we have here? 'Cause Town moderator, and then we have Board of Health, which is all yellow.
Town
Yeah,
clerk,
the
town
latest.
clerk is after
Wait a
moderator.
minute.
Apparently, I'm not on the same order for whatever reason.
I have town moderator, town clerk.
And this is
Right.
the one that came out this afternoon, or is
Yep.
this the one that came over yesterday?
Yep.
Okay, so did I print off the wrong one? Maybe I did.
Excuse me.
Okay, I must have printed off the wrong one then, or have brought the wrong one with me. No.
Yes, we,
I
Okay,
have
go
town
ahead.
moderator, then town clerk,
yep.
then assessors, who
Mm-hmm.
would then sort of be moving over to the appointed, which I believe would eliminate the requirement to address them in the charter. We have the light commissioners with with some exemption language there. Same with the water.
Each of those, we need to strike the elected by and from the voters at large.
Yep, of course, yep.
Okay, planning board should be 3 years, not 5. They haven't officially voted, but I talked to Jeff, and he said they talked about it, there's no pushback. We're gonna leave it as 3.
I think, I thought the general laws required
Yeah.
5.
What's that?
I thought the general laws required 5
The
years.
mandate, or the, what does it say? It says 5, but you can change it to 3 if you're in charter, and other towns have changed it to 3.
Anthony provided some examples.
Yeah, there's
right?
some, the going in, or the standard is 5, but you can change it to 3 in a charter.
And so what, you want which, how many?
Planning board, no, not members, years, sorry. It's, 5
Yes.
members is fine, it's 3 years. That's
You
what we
want
want to
3-year
change.
terms for planning board.
Yeah.
But are we
Okay.
still on water commissioners and the sewer
Yeah,
question?
so the water commission says that question about sewer.
I think that's still an open item.
You know what the water commission is in the sewer pile?
Yeah, the next page has a question, an open question. Determine if sewer authority language should be inserted.
I copied chapter 279 of 2020. I don't know if this helps, right? This is actually on the light and water thing, on the sewer rules and regulations. The resulting sewer system shall be known as the Littleton Common Smart Sewer Division. The division shall be under the supervision and control of the water commissioners, who shall be the sewer commissioners for the town of Littleton. So it's in chapter 290.
So does that
So-
mean
A reference to
it would be
chapter
the
290?
Board of Water and Sewer Commissioners?
So what?
Does that mean it would be the Board of Water and Sewer Commissioners?
Water
No,
commissioners
separate boards.
would also be sewer commissioners, yes.
So does it make sense to actually put that in the title of the board,
It's fine with me.
if they're gonna be that?
I think this is a question of transparency. That's what, at least how I've been arguing. Do we need to, do residents understand sewers and water when they're voting, when they're discussing the budgets, that sort of thing? If we think it's worthwhile to put in sentence saying sewers within, reference that. If you think it's not necessary because it's understood, then don't add the sentence.
Either way, it's fine with me. I mean,
That changes the title, right?
It changes the title, that's what
That
I mean.
changes the title that you are gonna be voted in.
Water and Sewer Commissioner.
I don't think so. I think the law says what Joe said. They work or are supervised by the water department or water commissioners. And that's all that needs to be said. I mean, we don't separate out the pole climbers
It's just the division of water, right?
and the light department with the guys who do other things. So why would we separate out the sewer guys? So,
On the answer, it says, this section maintains the same authority. The water commissioners appear to set sewer regulations. So I don't think it, to me, maybe I'm just getting confused, but if you are on the board of water commissioners, you're also setting sewer policies. So to make it clear to people like me who don't understand this stuff, if I was to see I'm voting for the board of water commissioners, I think it'd be helpful to know that I'm voting actually for the board of water and sewer commissioners, if they are in fact the ones making all the rules about that stuff.
I think it just complicates matters. Don't need it.
I don't know, to me.
Joe, what
water
was
implies
the
sewer, so I-
section
Okay,
290
but
you
that's just me,
referred
so
to?
I'm interested in
I
what
can't-
everybody
yeah.
else says.
I mean, yeah, I don't know enough about it.
Mel asked about the special legislation you were quoting from.
Okay,
Could you clarify that again?
there's two separate sections. It's actually like 6 pages long, but it says that the resulting sewer system shall be known as the Littleton Common Smart Sewer System. The division shall be under the supervision and control of the Board of Water Commissioners, who shall be the sewer commissioners of the town of Littleton.
Yeah, hearing that, I definitely think we should include it and reference that, but what is the reference? What is
What
the
chapter
legal
and
reference?
verse is it?
It's just chapter 290 of the Acts of 2020.
Can you just send, can you send the
2020?
whole thing to Mel and
Oh, yeah, I can.
Anthony?
I just,
Yeah.
I pulled it out right before I had to go
Okay, I
to
gotcha.
Light and Water.
Because you need, yeah, okay, thank you.
Reading that, we could include that in the transition section or something, but I believe that's a pretty fundamental special act that, we should incorporate within the charter. I wouldn't
Mean what?
necessarily call it a
When you
combined
say-
board, however.
When you say that, Mel, what do you mean in terms of wording? What should be included?
I would say to some extent, the water commissioner shall and sort of
Under
Under
duties
like
of-
something about
powers and
the
duties,
sewer
Mel?
rates or whatever that special act says,
Add a
in
sentence.
accordance with
Under powers
chapter
and
whatever.
Okay, that's good.
Under powers and
Okay.
duties.
All right, excellent.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we're at the Board of Library Trustees, and Anthony included in C yet another exemption from, or a clarification that the board does appoint and remove their library director. I don't know if we want to go further than that and talk about staff as well.
Do we want to include what the school committee did, that they also evaluate the library director?
Select, or is it
Appoint,
select?
evaluate, and remove, or
Yeah.
whatever the language was that they used for the school committee.
And I guess on that point, while we're talking about consistency, they had select and terminate. Here we have appoint and remove. Like, whatever we decide, it should be consistent, right?
Yeah.
I like the point remove better, but.
Appoint and remove.
So just to clarify, that's what the library does with the library director. What about all the other employees below the library director? The library director,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
Is that what happens today?
I think that's what happens there. I just want, when we get to the town manager, I want to make sure that the language is such that it's understood that town manager doesn't review or remove employees of the library.
Well, we say that, somewhere back we talk about, we eliminate or exempt library trustees.
So that's why I want to.
Yeah, it's already in there, so.
Yeah, I just want to see it, go by it.
Okay.
Okay,
That's good.
looking at the Board of Parks, there's nothing, the cemetery, which I believe the committee is still debating.
Yeah, let's put that to bed.
Can we?
Let's bury it, shall
Oh,
I had to, Alan.
I know.
You teed it up.
Okay, so I've had some other conversations about the cemetery. I never thought this was gonna be this hard, difficult one.
Of all the boards, I never thought we'd spend this much time in the cemetery.
So the board's not an issue, the funds aren't an issue by law. They have to, the funds that the cemetery gets have to be used by cemetery. They go into revolving funds, that's how it works. Who reports to who and how that would work long-term, I think, is a question. So I think if today, if we said that the director of the cemetery, or the supervisor, what the title I guess used, at the cemetery worked for DPW, today, not much would change. I think it would, in the short term, things would pretty much stay the same. But I think over time, the DPW would run that more, and the day-to-day operations of who's doing what would not come from the cemetery commission, it would come from the DPW. And I don't know if we're comfortable doing that. I mean, there's advantages, obviously, they're part of DPW now, they get the advantages of equipment, of
They're not part of-
personnel in and out, but in terms of the day-to-day, who's doing what, who's directing the work.
But they're not part of DPW right now.
Not now, no, but if going forward, if they were,
Can they stay outside of the bargaining unit, or do they have?
well, yeah, I think those things are okay. According to Steve, that was okay.
The impression we had from Steve was that things could stay the exact same, basically, that the budget would go through the DPW, and, well, even since the highway are under union, the people at the cemetery department wouldn't have to be under the code. No, our town manager had a different viewpoint of it, so part of that is confusing to me, so.
So over time, it could be that they are
Yeah.
brought in and so everything has
So I
changed,
got a copy of the bargaining unit of the highway department.
okay?
And it is specifically referencing the bargaining unit of all full-time and part-time of the highway department, not of DPW.
Okay,
So if cemetery came in under DPW but not highway, then those employees that are not unionized right now would not have to become members of the bargaining unit so long as you maintain.
It's just another division of the Department of Public Works.
That's correct.
That's the point Steve, I think, was making
Right.
indirectly. That
right.
Could be completely
Yeah,
separate.
but I've looked at the contract, I've talked with Michelle as well, HR director.
So would the commissioners, the cemetery commissioners, have any say or influence in how their time was?
Well, again, short term, probably nothing would change, but over time, I think it would
But I'm
change.
saying, over time, you're
Because
gonna have.
we don't dictate, you know, or,
Right, but I'm saying if that's the role of the commissioners, is to make sure that
well, I guess that's the
cemetery
question.
stuff is being fulfilled
Right.
according to policy, they should have some influence over.
Well, I'm sure they would have some influence, but that's not the same as, all the other boards were saying their policy making in the day-to-day is done here. And this we're saying, is this an exception? Because now we're saying they're directing day-to-day I mean, basically, I mean, not every
Well,
day,
they're
but.
overseeing it, and if it's not getting done, they should be,
Well,
have
that's one thing,
some
but that's,
buttons to
yeah,
push.
I don't think it's not
to
that
make
so
it
much.
happen.
Go
So
ahead.
I'll admit that I'm struggling a great deal, because it's not just cemetery. I view this the same as Board of Health, quite frankly, the same as Park and Rec. And I wasn't here for the meeting when you decided to continue elected for Park and Rec, which I'm switching to appointed. Had I been here, that's how I would have argued. From my standpoint, I'm concerned with regard to the disenfranchisement that we seem to be hearing from a great number of boards and committees as we contemplate the strong TM model and the centralization. I like that model. From an efficiency and a professionalism, I like it a lot. What I don't want to lose, though, is that aspect that we were just talking about. Over periods of time, how is that going to change? And I think there's a structural element that needs to extend the way I think it, but I think there's probably 8 other people that could give other ideas than what I'm about to say. But I think the select board, as the elected group, policy-making of the town, et cetera, should be convening meetings with the different appointed boards, if they're appointed, to determine and hear directly, not through the TM, but directly from those people who are working in the trenches with regard to, on behalf of residents, the details. And if they want to articulate, and it should be part of a standard agenda, are the policies being executed the way you on that appointed board feel they're being done? And if they were to hear they're not, because the cemetery commissioners said no, they're not, then the select board, using their authority, should be doing an inspection with regard to the execution of the town manager or his direct reports, her direct reports, but in this case, Steve Yonley conceptually, to be, no, this is not working the way we expected. And in doing that forcing of a meeting that's going to ask that specific question, which may not be appropriate for a charter, but conceptually, I don't like the idea of removing the voice, the participation that we're getting from our very specialized units of people who currently are elected, and we're contemplating flipping them to be appointed. But I find myself really wanting to move into get rid of elections and get into appointments and get into aspects of efficiency that I just think aren't taking place right now, the way we're currently operating a town. And I think that more and more, we should be looking for those efficiencies. I think that too many people argue at town meetings and around town meeting discussions about taxes are too high and we need efficient government, we don't want spending, et cetera. And I can, cemetery right now, when TC was here, and I heard about damaged trees and, fallen trees. Well, on DPW, we have a tree warden, and they bring in contractors in order to take down trees. I think volume produces better rates, so why have one off in two parts of our government structure? Makes no sense to me.
So Rob, maybe adding to that, it seems like Cemetery Commission is one of those places where we could theoretically be proposing two quite dramatic changes. And I find myself thinking, is that too much change? So I feel more strongly that putting cemetery under DPW would be more efficient and effective operationally. And I do wonder if some of the concerns shared are just that, concerns, but they're not prophecies. They don't have to come true, right? Especially if it is set up properly. So like you said, there's the right kinds of responsibilities, budget, the trust fund, everything is managed accordingly. So it seems like that already would be a significant change, which makes me, this is why I wanted to kind of weigh both up together, which makes me think that keeping elected commissioners for now would be a nice counterbalance to that, so that you still have a sense of community engagement. We, have that kind of accountability mechanism in place, with perhaps recommendation in the next charter committee to sort of evaluate that new structure and see if changes need to be made. But I think going from elected to appointed and going from a separate department and rolling it out at the same time might just be too much of a shock to the system. And even just by doing that, we may actually mess things up, right? Because it just might be too much turmoil.
I understand and think that's well articulated, and I think there's a lot to be said for what you just said.
Well, so far, we haven't put any language in here that actually moves the cemetery under DPW.
No.
No.
And I don't think it belongs here. I don't think we should do that in the charter. I think it's the town business. What we can do is we can change it from elected to appointed. I don't know that we can move.
Well,
If you
okay.
move it under the DPW the way it was elected commissioners, just makes it really messy.
Well, but we don't move to DPW, we move to the town, basically. And then you assume he's not gonna report to the town manager, so it's gonna end up in DPW. Because what you do, like all the other ones, we say, well, the cemetery commission is no longer hiring the superintendent of the cemeteries. But that's part of the town, just like all the other ones. We say, no,
Yes,
that's
right.
directly the town manager.
Yeah.
So that's through that process. So it's the same as other ones, where we're just saying, well, you're not reporting to that board anymore. Now you're reporting to the town.
Right.
Whether it's the town manager, well, the town manager, everybody, all these people aren't gonna report to the town manager. They're gonna be put someplace else, some of them. And in that case, they probably end up at DPW. We're not saying they're going to DPW, we're just saying they no longer will be hired and directly supervised by the commission. They will instead be done by the town.
That's right.
That's what we're saying, that's all we're
And
saying.
then let the town process, Board of Selectmen move.
Yeah, we wouldn't say they go to DPW, we wouldn't say that, that's.
Yeah, they can reorganize the government
Yeah,
any way they want.
So
Right.
that's why I say.
Yeah.
Then we go to appointed, which makes that process a lot easier.
Then I think you're going to both, as opposed to one element of change.
In this
that I
one.
heard Charlotte speak.
But Betsy, just for clarity, if we, in the rationale for that decision-making, like in our internal report, we could say that in our discussions of the cemetery director no longer reporting to the commissioners but reporting to the town, one thing we discussed was the possibility of them reporting to DPW. Like, that could be in our report as to like the rationale for the discussions. Because I feel like it should be captured somewhere that that was kind of our thinking, at least, right?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously saying
yeah,
like,
I mean,
but
I-
it's on them to make up.
Doesn't matter, it's just,
how
we
they do
yeah,
that.
Yeah, and it's part of the rationale for keeping them elected. I mean, I came in thinking, oh, they should be appointed, but then hearing the presentation and realizing, you know, the community involvement,
Yeah, that's-
engagement, similar to Park and Rec. Not cemetery and Park and Rec are the same, but, you know.
but it is, it's
But
historical.
it's part of the community, and where there's
Yeah.
that funding, I think that adds a special element to the group. I think it should continue to be elected, even if it's one of those obscure type things.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
So where do we capture, cemetery report to TM, make the recommendation that it move under DPW, but keep the commissioner or the board elected? How do we capture that?
Where do we do it elsewhere?
It is here.
It's under the town
I
manager
think the
section.
employee section is under the town
Right.
manager
Okay.
piece.
And by the way, Mel, it's not seminary commissioner, it's commission.
Of course, thank you.
Yeah, because we'd have to capture that the cemetery director no longer reports to the commission, but reports to the town. And then
We
in
don't
our
put that in the charter
separate-
per se. Right?
Where else are we making, where
Well,
else?
it says where,
are we-
it says the town manager hires everyone, right? I mean, we didn't spell that
Oh,
out
right,
for
right,
all the
right,
other ones
right.
either,
They
right?
just hire the
Yep.
department
Yeah,
heads.
It's
Yeah.
not in here,
Yeah.
it says they
Just-
hire it, so. we don't
Just
know what
as
they
one
do.
of the department heads, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
So, we haven't buried it yet.
We could dig it up again if you want to.
People are dying to get in, though.
And then our
Dying to have their
internal,
opinion.
That's right, yeah, so I got that.
I'll
No,
still keep it in
This
our
is,
notes.
and we're gonna, yeah. This is, like I said, I didn't think this one was gonna be the tough one, but. Okay, are you good? This is where we are
Yeah.
now?
It's still up.
It's, I know, we're gonna hear some more on this
I'm
one, that's
opposed,
okay.
I'm opposed to it, but
So, to what? Which one?
I'm for switching it to appointed, but
Okay.
I respect the majority that I think I'm hearing here.
Okay.
How about the
We didn't vote, did we?
DPW? How do you stand
I
on that?
wanted to
Oh,
go
I-
appointed also.
I'm for efficiencies, and I think it should be
let's go back.
under
Okay, hang on.
DPW as opposed to the town manager. I'm for others that seemingly were about to continue to be elected that I think should be appointed, but
I do think we're gonna go back after we go through all these and look at these again, all the elected versus
Yeah.
others, and just make sure, okay? Because
Yeah.
we kind of, we've learned and gone through this process, and we get to the end and say, go back, and do we do it consistently, or are we still doing
Right, I
it?
think we
So
said-
again, I'm
Okay.
fine with
Yeah.
So for now-
moving on.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, but
But you
let's go
asked me
back, because I kind of jumped on that,
Oh, that's fine.
keeping
Yeah,
these appointed, but I'm hearing some more elected here, so
I go for elected.
elected, I'm elected, I think, on this one. And
I'm elected if it goes under the DPW and they report to the TM.
okay.
But I'd be interested,
Who
and I know
reports to
it's
the TM?
Sorry,
the cemetery
superintendent.
commission.
But if you went to the DPW, the DPW director is the one that's going to report to the
Okay,
town.
that's
yeah.
fair.
Ultimately,
Right,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
Goes
okay,
up.
whatever, yeah.
it's a cemetery
You're
DPW.
gonna
town
delegate
manager.
it anyway.
Yeah, right, exactly, it's gonna get delegated someplace, so. Park and Rec.
Actually, I don't know. I don't know if I'm. I'll stick with what I said now, but I think it's worth further debate, and I would carry it on if it weren't 7:55.
Okay, You're appointed.
Appointed,
I'm appointed.
Elected.
Appointed, so we're half and half, more or
That's
less.
division, yeah. Gotta,
You're appointed too, even with the other change?
Tiebreaker, huh?
Wild and crazy times.
I would, how can I say this? I would, so one of my top 10 rules, if somebody says to me, why did you do all, one of the things is that, first of all, town employees should report to a town employee, number one. So I think we're in agreement there. I think we should minimize the number of elected things we have in town and stop where there haven't been any viable elections in years. So
Okay, that's fair.
consistent with that, I would lean toward appointed. But, Tim, you made a very strong point some weeks ago on the town clerk that we could, you know, some of us thought that it should be not elected. Some of us thought that it should not be elected.
yeah.
I think you made the point, you know,
Well, yeah.
even if we
I
feel
have
that way, do
changed
you
my
want
mind
us?
since, but,
Well, maybe,
no, well.
you made a a pragmatic argument that you want to send this whole thing down in flames over fighting that fight
It
now.
was logical when I made it, but then something Joe said, you know, the town clerk is the face of the town. And when a stranger comes into town and they need some history, or they need, you know, they need where to go and what to, you know, the town clerk is that face. So I've reconciled with, you know, it may not be, you know, it ticks all the boxes, but and we have a succession plan of sorts that you know,
If
has
he's
worked throughout
elected.
time. I mean,
Right.
well, yeah, they've done a workaround on that, but the assistant clerk has always served like an apprenticeship and has always been the one to step up when there's a change, so, but,
Wouldn't you want that latitude to be able to do that? I mean,
Yeah,
so,
but-
once again, I think that the town clerk should not be elected. I think it's an employee of the town and should be hired and like every other employee of the town. But I don't want this thing to go down either, on that issue.
So, okay, and
We-
let me just
yeah.
add one more point to that.
Yes.
So another discussion I had with that was that because there will be this reconciling meeting or meetings that we have with the select board as well.
Yeah.
So maybe the position is,
Yeah.
do what we think is right, and then we reconcile with them, and how much are you willing to go to town and fight for?
I couldn't
Okay.
agree, I don't care which way we decide to go, like, if we go the pragmatic way that you discussed of saying, let's leave it alone right now and maybe
Yeah.
dealing with it at a later date. I think that's what Groton might have done. I'm fine with that as long as the record reflects that,
that was the, yeah.
I don't know what the term is
discussion.
intellectually or according to our principles, we would probably have said, but we don't want to.
Yeah, yep.
But, so following on from that,
Getting
it's like,
back to the point.
Cemetery.
Please,
Right, yeah.
we were talking about, what's your preference on the cemetery commission? Elected
It would
or
be appointed, it would be appointed.
Okay.
It would be
And
appointed.
this is
Appointed
another
it
one of those
is.
ones that really has been appointed, you know.
Yeah,
It
seems
would
like
be
it's appointed.
Well, the thing is, you don't wanna make
But-
so many things appointed that people aren't voting for anything.
Yeah.
I mean, cause that takes away from the whole civic engagement.
I think that's
So I think the
my
question to that is, are people really voting for things? I mean, if the position is unopposed, or if you can be written in with 5 signatures,
Yes.
is it really a
It's-
democratic
it's broken.
process?
It's broken. It's broken. And part of what needs to fix is that little bit of what the library is doing, is educating people, this is what the role is, this is how you get involved, this is what it means. Building that up, we don't do any of that.
Okay, we are going, there is a new assistant town manager now, and he is
Yes.
going to
I-
start some of that, so.
I heard that. So that will help drive participation, hopefully, with not only running, but also with the voters.
But some of it's just, times are different and the town's
Yeah.
different, and so you're not gonna have as many
But you
people.
know, I mean, I could say, practically speaking, everybody should be appointed except the select board, and then we're done. But I think the reality is
Yeah.
people want a
Gotta be a
voice
balance.
in some of this.
Yeah.
I think that's where I come down on it. It's when we say let's do what's right, there's different rights, you know, there are the efficiency and the operational and the kind of consistency. But if, I'm with you,
That's
Karen,
the
if we
right thing.
say suddenly that we're recommending that we just take all of that election voice off the table, I just don't, I think that, to your point, it will go down in flames, and it's just not a palatable option.
I think we ought to get, were we gonna devise a list of our sense, I'd
We've
love to
got
see it
one.
on a piece of paper.
Yeah, I was gonna go back to that Excel sheet.
And
Yeah.
I would love to see, what are we leaving alone, what are we changing, what's the cumulative effect? And then get out those guidelines, get the competitiveness figures out, have there been competitive? And get that other set of criteria about what an appointed thing should be that Collins Center gave us. The characteristics of an appointed position, characteristics of an elected position.
That'd be a great exercise.
I think that'll be our test. Because
'Cause
I don't
I
think we
think
want to have a tidal wave sweep over this and have no elected positions.
No.
But I don't think we're headed that
So
way,
far, we haven't done that.
right?
So I think that I feel like there's a sort of, like, there's the tiers, right, where we've said we're really clear that there are a few that sit right at the bottom of that scoring criteria that don't seem to be super controversial, and we've decided we would at least recommend they get moved to appointed, like the assessors, like the trust fund commissioners. There's a few that, and even with the Board of Health hybrid model, like moving some more positions over. So to me, it's more of a prioritization of that ranking, not saying there's a clear cut, like, it's not black and white, definitely appointed, definitely elected. It's saying if we're going to move some boards to appointed, which are the ones that should move without kind of risking, I guess, a huge public backlash as well. Because I feel like there are some that would just start a bit of a firestorm. And then, of course, there are some that we've discussed that we can't move because they are elected and they have to be elected.
But I think I think we should put our stake in the ground, so when we go to public input sessions, we can get feedback. Or that when we proceed from this meeting, if we don't make a decision, then the people that have already spoken to us don't know where we stand and where we're moving, and therefore they're not gonna attempt to influence us should they disagree with us. And I think that's important at this phase of the process, to continually try to determine where we're collectively at, state it, and then be prepared to listen and
absolutely.
reconsider.
I think that exercise will help clarify for ourselves, what are we doing?
And just for this,
But,
Right,
but
so-
to Ellen's point,
we're
where are we
leaning
going on
appointed right now,
cemetery?
right?
Yeah.
Leaning appointed for cemetery commission as per the sort of,
Okay, put it,
Okay.
put it as a point for. Yep. What's?
It's time.
I think we're pretty sure of where we stand on this, so let's make a decision before we go on to
We
something
just
else.
did. I think we just did, appointed.
Okay, good. I didn't hear that.
Okay,
well, with some dissent.
that's right.
Okay.
Narrow.
Not gonna die on the
Narrow
hill, that's
margin.
for sure.
There's some reservations. Okay,
Okay.
that's okay.
That's all right, good enough.
All right, so Mel, where are we? How many more do we have in this section? Should we keep going and finish this section, or should we?
I think we can get through this section, but just to be clear, it landed on appointed?
Yes.
Yes.
See, he didn't hear it either.
I'm not hearing everything very good. But, all right, so Board of Health is the one that the committee considered a hybrid approach of
Yep.
appointed and elected, and Anthony provided this particular language to accomplish that.
I thought we said that the appointed persons didn't necessarily, we weren't gonna limit the appointed persons.
See, I heard it differently. We need to put it there because the elections are determined by voters independent of whether professional aspects exist.
Right, but let's say there's 3 elected physicians, let's say, on the board. Are we still saying that the select board would have to appoint people with that expertise? Okay,
That's, I thought, what we were saying, in
That's what I
order
thought.
to
maybe I
ensure.
misheard that, okay, yeah.
That's why we did 2 instead of 3, in case they can't find it.
We did a good job on that.
And it's pretty broad, so should be able to get people somewhere there. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, yeah,
So planning board, you're changing it to 3 years,
yes.
in item B?
About that.
And we're getting rid of that at large.
That's right, at large.
Trust fund commissioners are now appointed, so they would probably take, coming out of this charter.
Yep.
Can I ask on 511C, we have this unique language, I think it's unique, with regard to charter by bylaw or otherwise not inconsistent with said grant of powers conferred by general laws.
What?
So that kind of struck me as, is
Just
that
kind of
because?
a little bit redundant,
I
huh?
think we should read it all out loud, because,
Yeah, because like, is that somehow, is there MGL that's jumping in here and saying that we have to have that last phrase?
No, I don't think the last
Strike it.
phrase is necessary.
you just skip when you're reading it, but when you say it out loud. Wait.
Okay. Yeah, I think you've already essentially said that. Okay, Board of Trust Fund Commissioners, they're appointed at this point. And so they'll be addressed probably in the transition section. Housing Authority, I don't believe there's any changes proposed here.
Just on 513AI, Select Board, that phrase is listed as one continuous word as opposed to two separate words.
Yep, got it.
Okay. All right, that's all we're gonna do on that tonight. We're gonna do a couple of minutes.
Okay.
We're gonna approve some minutes and then move on, okay? Thank you, Mel.
You're welcome.
Hey, we have a meeting next week. You know that? Does everybody else know that too? December 1st is our next meeting. It's next Monday.
So we're not meeting on the,
And we have one on the 15th as well.
oh,
The
right,
1st and
I
the
thought it was
15th in December.
Oh, no, no. I thought I was gonna miss one.
Oh darn.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we need to have a Zoom call in between then, Mel. We probably should.
Yeah,
We can work something
I
out
mean,
there.
before Monday, you think?
Yeah.
Holiday week, so it's gonna be
Tomorrow
hard.
would be ideal, so we can get an agenda together, but,
Betsy, just
Sure, well, I can, I'll check in with Anthony.
all right, thank you.
depending on when you have that as well, I was thinking for the purposes of this meeting, I would do normal minutes, but
Okay.
then also do essentially a marked up version of this particular document with like every comment as a comment box.
Okay, yeah,
Just so we
great.
have that as reference.
Okay.
So if that works for you.
Very
Okay.
good. Yeah, thanks.
All right, so we're the 1st and the 15th, not the 8th. And then-
Right, our next meetings are 1st and 15th of December. December. Okay, motion, somebody?
Yeah, 15th, okay. Oh, for the minute. Are we doing both?
Yep, sure. Just a motion.
Move we approve the minutes of 10:27 as amended and 11:10.
Okay. Second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, passed. All right, I have the select board schedule for next 6 months, so I'll just send that out. Basically, the issue is March, April, May, and June, we can do our usual. January and February, because of holidays and other things, our regular Mondays, we'd only have January 5th and February 2nd. So if we want to do another meeting in January and February, we need to figure out whether we do it a Monday where the select board's meeting, or pick another day of the week. I mean, my choice is Monday when the select board meets, but you don't like that because you want to go to their meetings, right? Is that still that important?
I want to go, plus I think we benefit from Mark being here and offering
Well, that's true,
comments
too.
when he
Yeah, Mark
does
too.
it.
No way.
Yeah, you had to say that now that he walked in, sure. That's true, though.
Suck up.
I feel strongly both ways.
All right, fine, I'll take care, and are there nights, do we know, that people can't do? Let me ask that, if we do a different something other than Monday?
No.
No, you guys are easy, this is great, I'm so lucky, except for
I
Charlotte.
think the Sustainability Committee is going to bump their meeting to the 8th, I think, because the 1st is New
I'm
Year's Day.
talking about January and February. Is that what
Yeah,
you're
so
talking?
January, February, so January 8th, I would have a conflict with Sustainability Committee. Wednesdays I can't do, and I'll be in Guatemala the week of the 19th, but
And that's January?
that's January.
Okay.
And
All
then
right, I'll do my best.
February,
Good
maybe
excuse.
just relevant also for
Yeah.
you, I don't know, ski week, so kids out of school is the week
It
of
won't
the
be school
16th,
vacation
so.
week because the buildings will be closed, so.
Oh, right.
You call that ski
But what
Oh,
is that week?
I call it ski
Yeah,
week.
right, huh? What is that, February what?
February 16th, week of.
Okay.
I'll also be away the week of February 2nd.
Okay, I'll do my best.
I mean, but yeah.
All right,
I'm also very happy to do minutes based off the videos.
Thank you
so
very
it's
much.
fine.
I'd like to have you here too, but, okay. Anything else? Anybody else want to go home? Got more stuff to do, but
I'd
that's,
rather continue debating this topic.
all right, I need another motion. Alan,
Moved, we adjourn.
second?
Second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
All right, good night, everybody, thank you.
Aye, thank you.
Thank you.
Hit the button for us, thank you.